You should skip this video until you have seen the other videos or in any case studied the rest of the notes and then come back here and watch this video and think about the vocabulary on this page. Most of the vocabulary of OOP, of object-oriented programming, we're going to cover next week or beyond. There's just a little bit for this week. We have to know these terms right here. We have to know what a struct is. Well, we know what a struct is. There's actually two uses of struct. There's struct the class, which allows us to create struct instances. Obj is a struct because it's an instance of the struct class. And when you have a struct in particular, you can have attributes. Obj.x, x is an attribute. So a struct is an object that can contain attributes. Great. Class. So we've seen classes. We've seen the class dot down here. We've seen the class string. So S is ABC. And then the type of S. S is the class string. Okay. In general, a class would correspond to something that you think of in the real world as an object of a certain type. But the class, of course, isn't that object. It's the descriptor of that object. So you could have a class of chair, a class of table, class of television. The class of television describes televisions, but it's not itself a television. Each television would be an instance of that class. Each individual table is an instance of the table class. So the table class would describe things such as the properties, that tables, what they're made out of, wood or maybe glass, the height, the durability, the cost. The instance would have those actual attributes set. Each instance gets its own attribute. And in inanimate objects, like a table, maybe you don't think of properties, but I mean of behaviors. But television certainly have behaviors. You have a TV that maybe would be like set channel, set volume. Those are behaviors. Those aren't properties. Those are things that TVs do. So a TV would have its current channel, that's a property, and then it would have set channel, and that would be a method. And a class captures properties and methods. It creates properties or attributes, and methods are like behaviors, the things it can do. An object or an instance, and we use those terms interchangeably, is a creation of that class. So in the TV class, each TV itself is an object or an instance. And we say it's an instance of the TV class. Attributes, we've seen those. That would be stuff like obj.x. X is an attribute. Dot.x, dot.y. X and y are attributes. So attributes are properties of instances or objects. So if a individual TV can be set to a station, then station is an attribute of that TV instance. So a method is one of those, it's like a function, but it's a function that's defined within the class and pertains to the instances of the class. So we saw that in strings, we saw the example where len of s is that's not a method, it's a function, but s.upper, in fact, is a method. It's defined inside the class, and it pertains only to the class. We defined some of our own methods in the dot class. We defined the initializer, a constructor, double underscore init, double underscore. It's all down here. And we defined contains point and draw, which are also methods. In the TV example, you could imagine a method would be set channel, set volume, and so forth. Record, show if it's a DVR. A constructor is a specialized method that gets called once when you create your instance. When you create the instance, it gets called once, and it takes in the values, the initial values of the, pardon me, right here. Here's my constructor right here. Takes in the initial values of some of the fields, initializes them. It can initialize some other fields or attributes. This is a constructor. It actually does not create the struct. Python does that, and it does not return the struct. Python does that as well. And finally, we saw init. Init actually is the name that Python requires that you use for your constructor. There's plenty more to object-oriented programming. This was a gentle introduction, but there you have it. Those are the words you need to know. Below is the code you need to know. And welcome to the wonderful world of object-oriented programming.